Hello and welcome to another home training video. My name is Rhys and I will be leading you through a series of exercises and challenges today, all about dribbling in tight spaces as part of our home training series. For this session, you are going to need 4 items. They can be cones if you have them. They can be other things if you do not have cones. Just make sure they are items that will not break and that you will not slip on as always. My items are 4 different colors. However, for this session, they do not need to be 4 different colors. For this session, you are also going to spread your items out in a little bit of an obstacle course. That can be up to you on how you want to shape them. I have chosen to do 3 steps in between with some zigzag action going on here. For this session, you need a ball, you need water as always. I would suggest doing it in running shoes, but that is really all you need. So without further ado, let's jump right into this session. So to start off, you are going to be inside of your area, just dribbling the ball around, keeping it under control. It is entirely up to you on what you do and where you go. Just work on getting some light touches on the ball and using the space that you have available to you to warm up your legs. Inside, outside touches, left foot, right foot. Get the ball moving, get yourself moving as well. Don't let the ball stop and don't let you stop as you dribble the ball around your area. Now again, you can see the way I have set up my cones. It is a little bit of a diamond-esque shape, and as this will include a lot of dribbling in tight spaces, oftentimes skill moves are very helpful to get you out of trouble in those tight spaces. So feel free to practice some skill moves as part of your warm-up as well, not just dribbling around with basic inside and outside of the foot touches, but also get some action in with some different skills. And now the first thing that I'm going to do as we move into the main part of our session now is I'm going to start on one side of my obstacle course that I have created, and I am going to go in a direction that is completely up to me on where I hit the cones and which cones I go to first. That is entirely up to me, and whichever way I go in my obstacle course, I want to hit each and every single cone. Once I get to the last one, I'm going to go back around the way that I came rather than going all the way back to the start. So for me, I'm starting at red, then going to green, yellow, and then blue. Once I get to blue, that means I'm then going back to yellow, green, and finishing at red. And what I am doing as well is I'm just keeping the ball under control, really small touches, really light touches, using the outside of my feet as much as possible. And I'm also alternating the feet each time that I go through. So I'm alternating. If I go on the way there with my right foot, then I'm quickly switching over to the left foot as I turn to the next one. So we are going to do 6 different things each time we go around our obstacle course. We're going to change up our obstacle course 3 different times. This is the first time where you get to decide how you want to go through each cone. The first one is dribbling around the cones. The next one is going to be doing pullbacks. So I'm actually going to bring the ball a little bit further past the cone, and then I'm going to pull it back and go the opposite direction. Instead of turning around the cone again, I'm going a little bit past it, turning as part of a pullback, and then going to the next cone. So whether you do the pullback with the foot that is furthest away from the cone or closest to the cone, it doesn't really make too much of a difference. What you want to make sure you're doing though is having your pullback go in the direction of the next cone. So it doesn't really matter left foot or right foot, just make sure that the direction you pull it back in is toward the next cone that you would like to go to. So speaking of which, the next one that we're going to do is the L turn. So the L turn involves you taking it with the same foot to pull it back and push it out with the same foot. And I'm always using the foot that's closest to the cone. And that is allowing me to keep it away from the other foot, which might get in the way for this one. And it's also allowing me to take it in the direction of the next cone. I can adjust my body position much easier by taking it with the foot that's closest to the cone than I can if I use the wrong foot here. And you might be able to see some examples where I use the wrong foot and why. It's just a different skill move. And we're going to actually talk about that exactly on the next one as well, which is the V push, where it's going to be the exact opposite idea. So you'll be able to see the difference. But the L turn is a fun one. Make sure you practice this one a lot because it's a very good skill move that is very underutilized by young players. This is one that will beat defenders that we don't focus enough teaching as coaches. The next one we're going to do is the V push. So for this one, I'm actually taking it with the foot that's furthest away from the cone, pushing it back to the other foot as I head in that direction. Because I want to take it with the foot that is closest to the next cone. With the V push, it's the same foot that's pushing it out as the L turn, but that means you need to have an opposite one that's starting with the ball because the V push is where you use one foot to push it onto the next one. One other thing that is really crucial here to the V push is that I need to adjust my hips in the moment. So my hips are always angled toward where I want to go, even if my starting position isn't. So my starting position might actually be facing away from where I want to go. So that means as soon as I'm pulling it back, I'm using a hop on that foot that's pulling it back with to adjust my hips in the direction that I want to go. And I can have my hips adjusted in that direction without even having that hop and before I even do the pullback, just by shifting my weight a little bit toward that direction that I'm looking to go to. And by the way, I'm doing each of these ones 4 times. You can do more, you can do less. I would encourage you probably to do more as you practice these skill moves and get accustomed to them, and then do them at speed once you have the hang of it, and then you can get even faster and even better with each time that you do it. So the next one that I'm doing, and I'm going to do this one 4 times as well, is the step over. For this one, I'm also trying to use the foot that's closest to the cone as I go. If I use the wrong foot here, as you'll see on some of them, I just have a little bit more of a spin and it's kind of awkward to get it to where I want to go. Whereas I can more easily take it in my stride if I use the proper foot, which is, again, the foot that is closest to the cone. And that becomes difficult at speed because in these tight spaces, I need to change feet each time. I'm showing you some examples purposefully, I promise you, of me doing it incorrectly so that you can see that extra spin that is needed when I do it with the wrong foot here. In a game, it doesn't really matter what foot you do the step over with. It's just key to avoid that extra spin and just take it back in the direction that you can go very easily otherwise with. Now, the last one is just anything we want. The first thing that comes to our mind as we approach the cone, then we're going to turn and go back to the next one. So it's just anything that comes to your mind, which you're going to do 4 times back and forth, and then you end off, and that's all you need to do. So it can be some of the stuff that we've already done, or it can be something brand new. You'll see a chop in here. You'll see 360 sometimes in here, some rollovers, some different things that you can do. Be creative. Don't let your mind get too fuzzled about what you're going to do. Have it in your mind right away. Or if you don't, even the one that you feel most comfortable with, don't be afraid to do that one and keep on honing that skill in. And obviously try the stuff that you are less talented at as well. Don't just do the thing that you are most comfortable with all the time. So I'm doing that 4 or 5 times, however many I want really, but I'm doing at least 4 where I go there and back. And then I can have a drink of water, and then I'm moving on to change the direction of my obstacle course. And I'm doing the same things that I did on the first set, but now in a different direction from what I did the first time. So the first time I did red, green, yellow, blue. Now I'm doing red, yellow, green, blue. And that's just making me have to have a different turn in here. And on this one, for whatever reason, I'm also going right back to the top. You don't have to. You can go back the way you came like we did on the first set, or you can go back to the top and start again. Either way, try it 4 times. The first one obviously just being a dribble around as you get the hang of the direction you're going in, as it's a new direction now. You want to make sure you have the hang of what you are doing before you start doing these more elaborate skill moves. So the next one that we are doing after the dribbling is a pullback, which is one of the more basic skill moves that everyone should know how to master at this point. It's different though here because you're not just pulling it back behind you, but you're actually purposefully pulling it back in a direction that suits where you have to go next. So for example, when I want to pull it back from yellow to green, I need to make sure my pullback is in that direction and that I don't need too much of a spin to get it there. It's a lot easier for blue to red because it's more of a natural pullback that you will be used to doing. From green to yellow or yellow to green, it's a little bit more awkward, and you need to make sure your body position is angled in a way where you are able to take it in that direction that you want to go. So it's all about the angle of the hips here. And the same thing in between the cones, in between the pullbacks, I'm also making sure, again, my touches are very light. I'm quick on my feet, but not too quick, because I want to be able to keep the ball under control and get ready for the next one. So then we are moving on to the L turn. So the L turn, again, the same foot is going to pull it back and push it out, and you're doing it with the foot that is closest to the cone. So for me, when I'm going to yellow, that's left. When I'm going to green, that's right. And then when I'm going to blue, I'm using either foot could be closest to the cone when I get to blue, but I'm using right because the direction of the next cone is on the right side. And that's the similar idea with the direction of the next cone on each of the other colors. I can take it with my left on blue, as you saw in some of those, but it's going to be easier for me if I take it with the right foot, because the direction of the next one is on the right side. And as you go, each one should get faster, it should get better, it should become more comfortable. So see if you can pick up the pace once you feel like you have the skill move down. And the good thing about this is that you get the chance to practice the skill move lots of times here, not just in this set, but on the next set too, if you still don't feel like it's comfortable for you by the time we move on to the next skill. Practice the skill move as much as you can until you feel comfortable with it. Once you feel comfortable with it, pick up the pace. The next one, of course, is the V push, starting with the foot that is furthest away from the cone and the next cone, and then pushing it out with the foot that's going to be closest to that next cone. You'll see I have a little bit of a hop there. As soon as I pull it back, that same foot that pulled it back is going to hop in the air a little bit to adjust my body position and allow me to take it to the next cone. And now I am also remembering why I did blue to red rather than going back the way I came, which is because it's a really awkward position that I'm putting myself in when I get from green to blue and then having to go to blue to red, where my body position is facing the exact opposite way of the next way I want to go. So for a pullback or a step over, that's easy. For an L turn or a V push, it's much more difficult, and that is allowing me to practice doing this in a tougher way than just some of the other colors are allowing me to do it, because I have to adjust my hips and my body position just a little bit more. So the next one, the step over again, foot that's closest to the cone. When we get to blue, we're going back up to red. So I'm going a left foot on yellow, right foot on green. I can go either foot on blue, but again, probably the right foot is the best one to use to avoid a little bit of a spin that might be needed if I did it with my left, because the cone that I want to go to is on the right side. So it makes sense for me to do it with the right foot. And that's the same for yellow. The cone that I want to go to is green, which is on the left side. Therefore, I should take it with my left foot and do the skill with my left foot as well. Once you have done that 4 times as well, if you feel like you need a drink, feel free to have a drink at any time before moving on to the next skill. You don't have to do all of them consecutively, but this is the final one now, where we are just doing anything that comes to our mind. It can be different things from what we've done. It can be the same things. Just have a variety in there. Don't do the same thing over and over again. And be really quick on your feet, nice and light. You'll see this final one, the 5th of the skills, where I am improvising, is the messiest one each time. By far, I would say, and that is because it requires just a little bit extra thinking, and that is exactly why we are doing it. We want you to have to think quickly in the moment about what your next action is going to be, rather than always having something in your mind of, I know exactly what to do in each given situation, because you might not necessarily know, and you might have to improvise in certain moments. So once you are done that 4 or 5 times, up to you on how many you do, you're going to change up your obstacle course one more time. So now I'm going straight from red to blue, then green, yellow, back to red. That's my final one that I'm doing. And the first of the 5 again that we're doing is just dribbling around the cone, using the outside of our foot as much as possible, keeping the ball under control, and switching feet each time. I go from left foot, and then I'm going to turn with my right foot and then take it with the right foot. We dribble with the outside of the foot as much as possible because it's further away from the other foot and allows us to quickly adjust on turns more than the inside of the foot. It also can allow us to bend our knees a little bit more because by taking it with the outside of the foot, your knees are naturally more bent than they will be on the inside of the foot, just naturally. So then you can bend them even more without needing to look like a penguin, as I say, with the inside of the foot. And then once you do 4 or 5 of the outside of the foot touches, dribbling around the cones, you're doing the pullback again. Pullbacks in the direction of where you want to go next. There is not necessarily a right or a wrong answer on what foot to use here. You just want to be able to take it in the moment as quickly as possible to the next color. So as I go to blue here, based on where the ball is in that moment, I'm deciding whether I want to take it with the right or the left foot. I think I almost took it too much on the right foot in this one just because that is what I'm most comfortable with, but probably the left foot was more helpful in some situations, especially on blue, I would say. The L turn is going to get a little bit messy here now, a little bit awkward from going green to yellow for me. Because I'm facing so far away from where I want to go next, with green being almost like in behind blue rather than to the side of blue as you might normally go. When you're doing an L turn, you're not usually going 180 degrees, you're going 90 degrees. So because green is behind blue in that manner, I'm really having to adjust my body position in a way where it's becoming very awkward for me to do that one, followed by another one right away once I get to green and adjust my body position again. So that is, again, why we are changing up the obstacle course though, so that you are forced into situations where you are doing different directions of these skill moves and having to improvise in the moment and adjust your feet quickly to do the skill move correctly. And again, which foot do I take it with? The foot that is closest to the cone and closest to the next cone. So that might mean sometimes that you need to adjust which way you dribble as you go towards that cone. For example, if instead of green, I was going to yellow after blue, I would need to go on the left side of my cone so that the foot that was closest to the cone was now the right foot and I could take it in the direction of the right. Because I'm going from blue to green, I'm doing the exact opposite where I'm going on the right side of the cone each time, taking it with my left foot into space. The next one, the V push again, doing the exact opposite of taking it with the foot that's going to be furthest away from the cone and the next one, and then pushing it out with the foot that's now going to be closest to the cone. And if you get the hang of it and you feel good, do it faster and faster. You'll see crucially that hop again, but also just the bent knee position that I have on this, where I'm getting low as I do that pullback and that push out. I'm never standing just so tall. I'm always giving myself that chance to get lower to the ground so that I can quickly adjust my feet and quickly adjust my hips. And ideally, my touch after the V push is into space out of my feet. If it's too close to my body, I'm not going to be able to go where I want to go as quickly as I could. So I need to make sure that touches out of my feet into space, not too heavy, not too soft. Once you're done, feel free to have a little bit of a break before moving on to the step over, or you can get right into it again. And also, if you're feeling tired in between each one, feel free, once you get back to your starting place, to take a bit of a longer rest before starting the next one again. I'm doing that on some of these because I'm feeling like I need a bit of a break before moving on. It can be tiring on the legs here. With dribbling in tight spaces can be really taxing and tiring on the legs. So, moving on to the step over once you are ready to do so. And this is one again that the more swing that you have in this one, the more you're going to fake out the defender that you actually want to go in that direction that you are faking. That swing needs to be nice and strong, nice and quick, powerful. Really sell it. Really make them think that you are going that direction, like you are about to take a shot or make a pass, but you're not. You're going the opposite way. And which foot am I using? The foot that is closest to the cone, closest to the next cone. You'll see some where I messed that up and I wasn't able to do it as quickly as I did when I did it with the proper foot. It's all about where I want to go next. If I wanted to go again from blue to yellow instead of from blue to green, I would need to go on the left side of that cone again, do it with the right foot, and push it out with the right foot to get it to yellow. Now, after the step over, what do? We do the first thing that comes to our mind in that circuit that we've done, doing it 4 or 5 times. Anything that comes to our mind, skill moves, going around the cone, whatever you want, be creative. And if you mess up as well, if you feel like it wasn't good, just go back to the start. Don't get mad at yourself. Stay positive, but just go back to the start and try it again. Get at least four good ones in. If you don't feel like one was a good one, hey, that's okay. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's going to do it without making a mistake. Start again and give it a really good one. So now that we've done that, we've done 3 different obstacle courses, 5 different methods of going around our obstacle course. Just take a little bit of a longer break, shake out the legs, keep them moving, keep them walking. Don't just sit down. Keep the legs moving as you have a drink, and then get ready for today's fitness challenge. So for today's fitness challenge, you're going to go to the cones in any order that you choose, doing an obstacle course of your choosing, and you're going to go in that same order, that same sequence that we did, but instead of doing it 4 or 5 times each, you're just going to do it once all the way through and then go back to the start and move on to the next one. So you're going around the cones first, then you're doing pullbacks, then you're doing L turns, you're doing V pushes, step overs, and then anything that comes to your mind. So you're doing 6 times around your circuit that you're going to make up. You need to hit every single cone at least once, probably just once if you want to do it the fastest possible. And doing those skills, those 6 things that we've done throughout this session, doing it as quickly as you can, 1 time each. So I'm going around the cones once, then I'm doing pullbacks once, then I'm doing L turns, V pushes, step overs once, and finally ending with any skill move that I want, 1 time at each cone. Can you beat my time? That is what you are trying to figure out. So I am about to go right now. So on this first one, I was really just trying to make sure I was doing things correctly. I was going fast, but I wasn't absolutely ripping myself to shreds trying to go as fast as I possibly could because I wanted to make sure I was doing things correctly. I'm going to do it again on another one where I try and go even faster now that I feel like I have a good grasp on how to do everything properly at a good speed. And that one was 42 seconds. So can you beat my time of 42 seconds? And I am going to try and beat that time as well. I'm going to take a little bit of a break, rest a little bit, shake out the legs, keep them moving as I'm going in between. I'm not just sitting down, I'm not just laying down right away. I'm making sure I keep the legs moving as I wait. You can do the obstacle course with your feet if you want and go from cone to cone as you wait. And then when I'm ready, I'm going to try and beat that time again. So the first one I got was 42. Now I'm going to see if I can do it faster. So I started with the outside turns. I'm doing the pullbacks right now. Then moving on to the L turns, V push. And if I do anything that I feel like is not good enough, not up to standard, I'm actually going to start over again, stop the clock, and just do a whole other set. And I beat my time, 39 seconds, crashing into the wall. I felt like that one wasn't actually better than the first one though. I felt like it was a little bit faster, but I didn't feel like I executed the skill moves quite so well. Especially at the end there when I got tired, it was a little bit sloppy. So I'm going to try and beat my time again. And you'll see, I think this is one right here where I started decently well, but I messed up pretty early on. So I decided I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to start over again. I think I did a V push instead of an L turn. So I started over, and I am now trying to do everything not only at speed, but better than I did on the previous two in terms of the execution of the skill moves. And I'm looking to beat my time of 39. And if I can't beat that because I'm tired, I'm at least trying to beat the first one that I did, which was 42. If you are using cones here, a little tip to do it faster is keep them away from the cones so that they don't roll onto the cones and bobble up. And I beat it narrowly. So I felt like that one was the best one. I was happy with that. So I stopped and said, hallelujah, I'm done. And I've disappeared. Oh, there I am. Okay, good. I thought I disappeared for a sec. So that is it for today's session. Make sure you get a proper cooldown in. Don't just sit down right away. Shake the legs out, keep them moving, do some dynamic stretching, do some static stretching if anything is sore. Different dynamic movements like some butt kicks and some high knees that you're seeing here, some side shuffles, some arm swings, just doing some different things to keep myself moving before I shut off like a computer. Closing the gate, opening the gate, nothing too intense, nothing too vigorous. Yes, some static stretching if anything is sore. You can also, if you're not feeling tired enough, I've definitely encourage you, check out one of the other sessions that I've done and see if you can do another one. But this was a tough, intense session and you did very well. I look forward to hopefully seeing some of your videos of you completing these sessions and completing these challenges, especially that fitness challenge. I want to see which players can get faster than me and destroy my time even. But that is it for today. Thank you all for watching. I will see you all very soon for our next videos. Have a good one and goodbye.